which is like a doctor from Dalin Hospital. And now I may tell you about his background. He is also a Ciqing, and he is a chief of occupational medicine of Dalin Hospital. And we really have to just know something about what like damage and harm may be caused by the your occupation. And we have also a wonderful like a graphic designing team there. And let's get to know who this gentleman is. And simulatory operation in 2013, and we have a very like a senior doctor and new like commoners all together practicing such a surgery there, and they really promoted great love through any tiny actions in school, right? Okay, and this is a simulatory operation in Hualien, and Hongwei is also there too. And for every detail, like movements, right? And he really cherishes the chance. And we can have a lot of like insights, like have a lot of cuts toward the silent mentor. And I don't know how to express my gratitude toward all the silent mentors, right? And although he is a new doctor, he actually can really talk so well. So later on, okay, please don't be too impressive toward him, right? This is a wonderful person there, right? And this is about him in the video. And in the clinic room, and Zhang Hongwei, 35 years old. Actually, he was at Ciqing when he was in the university as an undergraduate, and he just played the guitar for patients in the hospital as a volunteer. And actually, he did this like in a hospice wards, right? And for the people with the final stage of their life, and I hope they can reduce the sorry, and I hope they can reduce the sorrow and be happy. Okay, for the like a terminal stage, right? Okay, and at the same time, the doctor is so young, and I think you want to know more about him, right? And here is also a video about who the doctor is, right? And let's take a look. And I was from a very, very rural school in the country. And I was told that I was ranked really, really badly. And actually, I did not very well. Okay, I didn't do very well in my school. And actually, I wanted to go to like a good schools, right? Okay, and so I can study better. Okay, and I really envy students who can study in good schools. I didn't think that I was that awesome as I imagined, right? Okay. And I also retrospect in myself that I should also work harder. And what is affinity that made him come into Ciji, right? And I became a doctor because my granny passed away. I started thinking that our life should not be all the same. People will suffer diseases, and we wanted to protect our family members. Everybody has every different life and their stages, right? So he, the doctor, has a very good affinity going to the UK and give care to the patients there. So let's take a look. And all the tributes in our daily life can be a little bit different. Wow. If you can just smell the fragrance and then you can just calm yourself down, and this is a kind of achievement physically and mentally.
Personally, I like some of the fragrance, and if time permitted, I can understand more about this to learn some knowledge about this and also make my life be more happiness. Like this fragrance that has some more spiritual moments. It's just like the 静思 lineage to hold on to the presence and for the whole process that it will make me feel calm and peaceful and to be relieve my stress. And what exactly the occupational medicine is doing is a senior doctor tell me, Hongwei, if you like to consider to work toward the family medicines. So I'm heading to factories. There are two sections. One is to identification and consultation of occupational disease, and the other is to promote the safety and risk management at the workplace. As a medical personnel, I will suggest the owner, the employer, how to do it better. I really enjoy this work, and like some of the food industries, I can learn some knowledge of it in the different directions. So this is what we going to introduce you, Dr. Zhang Hongwei. He's 35 years old and still single. And I feel like I should be more quiet and seize the present moments. The fragrance that he enjoyed, and he's good at the guitars. And when I kind of have a question about him because he used to attend the Tzu Collegiate Associations. And actually in Dalin, Tzu Hospital arranged different doctors to come visit us to share their story with us. So today we are going to talk about his specialties. It's about the workplace safety. This is what we are not familiar with. But he just walked into the institution to provide his professional suggestions. So that's welcome, Dr. Zhang Hongwei. I'd like to be with you because you have positive energies. Okay, we have to raise the thighs. I'd like to be with you, and because you have a positive energy. Okay. Hello, everyone. Just like a sister says, this is not my videos. I was really want to just jump into this scene, but because my body language is not really cooperated very well. So at the present, there are so many people right now in front of me. Have you ever heard of the family occupations, the occupational disease? So lots of people still not familiar with the occupational injuries. And what I'm going to share with Master Zheng Yan, and because lots of people still not very familiar about these subjects, if we what I like to support, what I like to share with you is the support in your workplace. And personally, I am a family medicine and occupational medicine doctors. Lots of people are asking me what exactly did I do. So now I'm going to tell you what exactly is the occupational disease. So have you ever seen your own X-rays? So can you tell the difference between your X-ray and this picture on the screen? And this patient used to be working at a coal mine. So let's walk back to the past. So back in 1970s, there's a very popular job for lots of people work in the coal mine. And in this environments, it could be very difficult. You might not be able to imagine their working environments and the dangers. So you might have heard of like the coal mine has crash or explosives. So it's pretty common to be seen. If you don't work hard, then you cannot support your families. So what I want to step into this area is the workplace is very important to us. Sleeping, that we spend 1/3 of the time to sleep and 1/3 of time in our job. So the workplace safe. Even for nowadays, we can also still hear the occupational injury from the news because there's not enough protections. So it could be happens in our daily life at the workplace. So this is called a disease. It's called a pneumoconiosis because he worked in the coal mine for a long time. So he will make your lung. It could be hard for them to breathe. So lots of people. So that's why we like to prevent the disease happens at the beginnings. And so if we can be well prepared, why we have to suffer later? But this is occupational medical is a new specialty designated by the Ministry of Health and Welfare. And usually when when the injuries happen, then we will have the new regulations set up. And the labor law is also the same. So we're just starting in 2001. We started the occupational medicine. For most of you might not familiar with this. And it includes the identification and consultation of the occupational disease and also the safety and risk management at the workplace. So it might be caused by your work. It's actually it's easier to identify. Just like my job, if I keep staring at the screen during my work, maybe my neck will feel sore. And do you think this is related to work? Is this occupational diseases? If you don't think this is occupational disease, raise your hands. Okay, I have some people that raise their hands. And if you have no knowledge about whether it is or not, and lots of time we don't really know whether it's related to work. So just like lots of people spend lots of time at the workplace, and if the disease happened, you call that was work related, it's not make sense. So what I would like to tell you is how we clarify it. It is an occupational disease, and you might think that this is related to work. And the occupational disease could be you have to meet with following evidence. Like if you have an evidence of the disease, also if you have the evidence of risk exposures, and of course you have to work at the workplace in order to cause the disease. So before and a long time ago, it was happens before, and the human will get sick, but whether if it's related to work, it need to be carefully evaluated. So when you're sitting right now, it could cause another disease while you're sitting. So the occupational disease can be divided into 4 different scales: the physically or chemically, or the biologically, or the mentally. Lots of people, when they get out from work, they are not really happy. Just like very different from you. So if there's a happiness in your workplace, and you will feel happy to work. And the physically, it depends on the whether the workplace is hot or warm or cold. Last time, I have a patient come visit me because it happens his finger is amputated due to the work. And the chemical, we might not able to control it, but it just grow up, just like a GPT, whether we can control it or not. It's like a chemical materials, whether it will affect our life, our health, we cannot decide it yet. And after the factory move into the certain areas, and lots of neighbors get sick. The reason is because there is the lots of polluted water was poured into the rivers, so that caused the disease of the neighborhoods. And when we are cleaning something, we need to put on the gloves. But some of the workplace, the worker just work with their bare hands. So we always want to prevent it before it happens. So biologically, is wherever you contact with people, it will have the risk. And the humanist is lots of people sitting down at all times, especially when the people work at the office. They have to stare at the screen for a long time, so they might cause the neck pain or the sores. In general, if you have any friends that want to visit the occupational medicine, that means they are not comfortable with certain areas. Like this patient has a wrist pains, so we make a diagnosis, and later on we find out the patient was suffering from a carpal tunnel syndromes. Sometimes when we're doing our work, and we feel numb in our fingers, so we visit her workplace. So she was actually working on the computers and using a mouse a lot to click on a mouse for a long time, and the work hour is long. we also find the others factors that could affect with this disease. So whether it is related to occupational disease, is need to be carefully evaluated. So if you need to move your hands a lot, so we can say that is related to it is related to occupational disease. Like carpal tunnel syndromes, is that related to job? It's easy. It's need to be carefully evaluated. So it's actually very you need to be detailedly evaluated. And usually we have to tell the patients, we have to wait for a while for them to, or we to identify whether it's related to job. So we have to visit on the site to collect the evidence. So it might take a long time to diagnose whether it's occupational disease and whether they were hurt or there was a disease. And lots of time when the accident happens, it is acute. It's an acute syndrome, and it is called the occupational injuries, like the gas explosions, and lots of time the syndrome will accumulated day after days, like their spinal problems or their shoulders injury or swellings, and we will determine that it's illness. So either is acute or the other is chronic. And the on-site health care, on-site medical service what we focus on is to prevent the disease happens. The best is to make your blood pressure stabilize. And in Taiwan, lots of young generation always hiding inside of the office. But the chronic disease also happens when they're young. So it's just little by little accumulated, little by little. And when you get old, it's time to report to the hospitals. So we visit the factory whether it is related to work. So according to the labor health protection rules, if a public institution reach a certain scale, it is required to hire medical personnel to provide an on-site health service. So at your workplace, you always have a medical personnel at the workplace. So at the first, if the institution with more than 300 workers, and the Article 4 says if there are more than 50 people that engage with the particularly hazardous operations, depends on their scale and natures, followed by the rules set out in Table 2 and 3, according to their manpower allocation and the on-site service frequency. The contracting physician and the nurses who are engaged in the labor health service should provide the labor health service accordingly. So at the Article 9 states that the employer should request the medical personnel to perform the following health service. Number one is to evaluate the result of the labor's health examinations to provide the health management and data preservations. Because a lot of times when we're young, we like to work very hard. And when we receive the medical examination data, we don't even look at it. We don't even look at it. We are not really paying attention on our bodies. Even there's data is abnormal, we will not really care about it. But for the result from the labor's health, we would make a very detailed examination and to consult with the medical to make those labors consult with the medical personnel. We also need to evaluate the results of the labor health examination.
Yeah, there's symptoms for hypertension, but outside it's very cold and serious. There's no symptoms.
Okay, the patient with hypertension.
And we also have the patients with blood pressure higher up to 200 something, but most of the patients are without symptoms. So that is to say that your body might be used to like 150 and then gradually used to 180 or something like that. So the patient's feeling actually sometimes not in the normal range. And when we visit workers on site, it's also a health service, and they can also make an appointment with us or even consult for the checkup results or healthy conditions. So when we see the needs of going to the doctor, then we would suggest them going to the follow-up appointment. And so sometimes we also suggest employers that his workers should take rest or to keep their health, to remain healthy. And for case risk management, including some issues we have to talk about. And the first one is the prevention of work overload. We refer to the standard of Japan. And the earliest overwork identified was actually more than 10 years ago, around 2006. And before that, people always focused on their working to earn money, so they didn't even consider their body load. So are you overworked today? And as you can see from the screen, it seems like it's actually out of energy. And also from the news, yeah, we can see the people death from overwork. And actually many enterprises also start to pay attention on this field. And we can also provide guidance for the abnormal workload, and also see how this might be possible for the patient. And if we can prevent, we can help remain workers' health. And we can also estimate the risk of suffering from cardiovascular diseases, etc. So in that case, we can provide proper suggestions. So the best way is to analyze and evaluate and provide a good suggestion of offering proper jobs for workers. And for on-site evaluation, which is interested me, especially in the industry of food and high tech. When we visit them, we will see what we can do to help them. We also have the experience that for the manufacturers with dusty environment, the worker actually didn't wear any protective kit. So actually, that is not a safety workplace for the workers. Diseases are usually occurred after communicating little by little. So after the visit, we actually can provide critical and proper suggestions. And so that is an important issue. And for the assessment of returning to work, it's also a critical topic. Once the worker returns to work after his disease or injuries, then we can help evaluate and suggest the proper job for him or her. And so he or she can still work while maintain his good health condition. So we want to help people, workers, return to work with more peace in mind and also keep their health under control. And here we have a slogan that is some measures we can make our work safe. And we actually provide some health education that we can help them to promote their health. And also the disease screening. We provide that for workers to identify their healthy conditions. And if they need to go to the doctor, then yeah, we will manage it and help them to maintain healthy. And also, we will suggest the suitable workplace that is suitable is good for his health. Sometimes the working environment is with improper temperature control that is also need to be considered. And if the worker has any doubt on the health conditions or maintenance, they actually can consult with the medical staff on site. And that actually will help to make progress on workplace safety. So this is our intention. We want to do some prevention. And so people are safe from working. Like the accidents happened, we heard quite often that actually we can do some prevention in advance. And if possible, this is what I learned from Lotus Sutra. Buddha said at that time in the Saha world, there is a thousand lands, the ground is cracked, and within it are mirrors of Bodhisattva Gashi at the same time. So I hope our medical team provided on site will help people, workers to be safe on site. And by the end, I think only everyone is safe and can we stay safe and sound. So that is all for today. Thank you so much. Thank you. And basically, when he's silent, I think he doesn't speak too quick. But once he starts, then the speed actually is quite quick. So I'm actually sort of worried, feel sort of worried for our interpreting team. So because he's so quick, so actually it's not easy to read messages in time. And the topic you shared about this, actually, we are not familiar with that, especially like what you mentioned that for hypertension, there's no symptoms. That also happens in my case. So actually, we have to pay attention, and for the occupation disease prevention is quite important. And like when I served in school, there's a nurse, but we don't have like doctor or complete medical care staff. Is that new? And yeah, it's new because in till last year, and the companies with more than 50 people must hire medical staff on site. And in that case, are you busy? I actually feel quite happy because I can travel around. And so sometimes I come to Kaohsiung to visit companies, institutions for the health service on site. Actually, your life path is so quick. As soon as you arrive factory, it seems like you need to see a lot of people. Yes, because once we arrived, we are not familiar with the environment. Then we have to pay full attention to the work. And of course, we don't want to have tight schedule. So we have time to interview the workers and communicate with them. And sometimes it's a challenge to persuade workers to see a doctor, especially like people with triglyceride. There's one with more than 2,000, but he's not willing to see a doctor. So actually, we spend much time to provide education and deliver the correct concept. So sometimes we also need to communicate with the employers that help them to see the doctor so they can continue the work. So with the wisdom, he can help treat patients. So let's give him a big hands. I feel like even I'm on site, sometimes I also listen again the program afterward. So after listening, yeah, you feel safe everywhere. And we also have the feedback from audience that the professional doctor shared what he shared is really useful and make us feel joyful. And also for the occupational medicine, it's a new division for us. And thank you a lot for sharing this. And we understand more on the definition and learn more knowledge. So, do you think my eyesight is good? Sure. Because I can read texts on screen. Yeah. And we also have feedback from lady. She's actually her father worked in coal mine before, so this topic is sort of familiar for her. And Dr. Zhang said, spread that. You are young and with patient. So if any question, we hope to have the opportunity to consult doctor. And today we learn a lot, benefit from this sharing, not only the knowledge, but also the joy. And also, I would like to invite you to bring your guitar for singing songs here. And sure, next time I will bring it. And when you was Ciqing, you should be very good at hosting activities. Yes, I did. Did good job that time. So it's quite humor and easy to get along. So when I saw the video of your story, yeah, I talked about you were actually excellent in school, but after entering the high school, there are actually more talents there. I was not good at study in my student days, but with good affinities, during my studying experience, that I have good affinity and to teach in Kaohsiung City after graduation. And I'm good at singing, however, I'm not good at memorizing the lyrics. So my teacher used to encourage me to study harder. I'm good at, I have my own method on study, but I'm not good at memorizing texts. Let's give Dr. Zhang again.